So here's where things get really interesting. There's this book called The Millionaire Next Door. It's based on a huge study where two researchers, Thomas Stanley and William Danko, spent years interviewing and studying actual millionaires. And what they found was kind of shocking. The average millionaire, they don't live in Beverly Hills. They're not buying Rolexes. Most of them live in middle-class neighborhoods, drive used cars, and honestly, you wouldn't look twice if you passed them at the grocery store. We've been trained to think that wealth means flashy. But these people, these quiet millionaires, they skipped the flexing and went straight for freedom. This book isn't about money hacks or get-rich-quick tricks. It's more like a backstage pass into how wealthy people actually think about money, how they spend, how they save, how they avoid debt, and how they stay rich without anyone even noticing. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to break down the habits, the mindset, and the moves these millionaires made, even if you're starting from zero. Alright, let's flip your idea of what rich really looks like. Most of us think it's the person in the Tesla, sipping $7 lattes, rocking a $3,000 outfit. You see them and think, damn, they've made it. But the truth? That's not wealth. That's spending. And there's a big difference. You probably never heard of Grace Groner, and that's kind of the point. Grace was a secretary. She worked her whole life at Abbott Labs in Illinois. She lived in a one-bedroom house. Never married, never made a ton of money. But when she passed away in 2010, people were stunned. She left $7 million to her local college. How? She bought $180 worth of Abbott stock back in 1935 and just never sold it. She reinvested the dividends, lived super simply, and over decades, that tiny investment grew into millions. Now here's the contrast. Around that same time, rapper MC Hammer was pulling in over $30 million a year in the 90s, had a 40,000 square foot mansion, a staff of over 200 people, 17 luxury cars, a private jet, you name it. Just burned through money like it was infinite. Filed for bankruptcy in 1996. Completely broke. Real wealth doesn't always look like success, and flashy doesn't mean financially free. The people with real lasting wealth, they don't flex. They stack, silently, consistently, and on their own terms. So let's break down how they do it. It starts with one mindset shift that sounds boring, but it's the most powerful financial move you can make. Live below your means. Let me tell you straight, rich people live below their means. Period. They don't try to match their lifestyle to every raise they get. They don't increase their expenses just because their income went up. We've all seen it. Someone gets a new job, starts making more money, and upgrades everything. New apartment, new car, new clothes, new gadgets, but their bank account still stressed. It's called lifestyle creep, and it's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Now here's where it gets interesting. In The Millionaire Next Door, the authors found that most actual millionaires lived way below their means. Like, most of them never paid more than $30,000 for a car, even when they could afford any car they wanted. Look at Keanu Reeves. This guy's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You'd expect him to have 15 mansions and fly around in a diamond-covered jet or something, but no. He lives in a modest apartment, rides the subway, and gives away huge chunks of his income to charity and his movie crew. The man doesn't spend just because he can. He spends intentionally. Or Sarah Blakely, the billionaire founder of Spanx. She drove a used car for years after becoming a multimillionaire because she didn't see the point in upgrading just for show. Her focus was building, not burning. And look, living below your means doesn't mean you can't enjoy life. It's not about living like a monk or saying no to everything fun. It means you control your money, not the other way around. It means asking, do I really need this, instead of, can I afford this? It's not sexy, it won't get you likes on Instagram, but it will quietly build a life that most people will never get to have. Alright, let's keep it moving, because now that we know they live below their means, the next thing millionaires do is just as unexpected. They invest early. Remember Grace Groner, the secretary who turned $180 into $7 million? She bought stock in her company, Abbott Labs, and just held it, reinvested her dividends, didn't try to time the market, didn't panic sell. It's the same thing Warren Buffett says over and over again. My favorite holding period is forever. But here's the trick most people miss. It's not just what they invest in, it's when they start. Imagine two friends, Sarah and Mike. Sarah starts investing $200 a month at age 22 and stops at 30. That's just 8 years. She puts in a total of $19,200. Mike, on the other hand, starts at 30 and invests $200 a month until he's 65. That's 35 years. Over $80,000 total. But guess what? At age 65, Sarah ends up with more money than Mike. Why? Because compound interest is a beast. It's like planting a tree. Those early years are where the roots grow. This is why millionaires don't wait for the perfect moment or the perfect investment. They just get in, stay in, and let time do the heavy lifting. Now let's move into the next trait, because it's not just about money. It's also about how you think about money. And most people completely miss this part. Status traps. You know what I mean? That pressure to look successful even if your bank account's crying inside. It's the feeling that you have to have the nicest car in the parking lot, the designer bag, the latest iPhone, the apartment with the skyline view, even if you're barely scraping by. Millionaires Next Door don't care about looking rich, they care about being free. Ronald Read, I know, I mentioned him earlier in my Psychology of Money video. He was a janitor and gas station attendant, drove a used car, clipped coupons, lived in a small house, totally invisible. People had no idea that he was secretly worth over $8 million when he died. Why? Because he didn't waste money trying to impress anyone. He didn't chase status, he chased freedom. The moment you start buying things just to show off, you're playing someone else's game, and in that game, you always lose. Millionaires avoid that game completely. They buy used cars, not because they're cheap, but because cars lose value fast fast, and they know that money could grow elsewhere. They wear basic clothes because their confidence doesn't come from logos, and they don't care what anyone thinks. They're not stingy. They're strategic. You know what flexes harder than a Lambo? Being able to say no to a job you hate because you don't need the paycheck. That's the real status. Alright, now the next trait builds on this perfectly, because if you're not wasting your energy chasing status, you've got way more room to focus on what actually matters. So here's something most people totally overlook when they think about building wealth. You've got to raise financially smart kids. I know it doesn't sound like millionaire advice at first, right? The truth is, a lot of self-made millionaires make this a core part of how they stay wealthy across generations. Because what's the point of building all this wealth if your kids blow it the second you're gone? Now picture this. You've got two families. One is rich on paper. Huge house, private school, luxury everything. The kids get whatever they want. No chores, no lessons about money, just credit cards and trust funds. The other family? Millionaire Next Door types. Modest home. Kids work part-time jobs. They learn early how to budget, how to save, how to make decisions with money. They don't get everything they want. Fast forward 20 years. Guess which family's wealth actually survives? It's almost always the second one. Because wealth without wisdom disappears fast. It's like handing someone the keys to a sports car who never learned to drive. Eventually, they'll crash it. The author of The Millionaire Next Door talks about this exact thing. He calls it economic outpatient care. Basically, when wealthy parents keep bailing their kids out financially, those kids never learn how to stand on their own. They grow up dependent, entitled, bad with money. Real millionaires do the opposite. They teach their kids how to earn, not just how to spend. There's this amazing real-life example of a guy named Pete Adney, better known as Mr. Money Mustache. He retired in his 30s and now teaches people how to live simply and build wealth. He teaches his kid the same stuff. His son runs little businesses, knows how to fix bikes, understands investing. As a kid, it's like financial literacy is just normal in their house. And that's the goal. Because teaching your kids about money early on, that saving isn't punishment, that credit cards aren't free money, that work creates freedom, that's how generational wealth is really built. Mindset shift. What they all have in common. What all these millionaires next door have in common isn't just a habit or a trick. It's a mindset. These folks don't chase money like it's a trophy. Instead, they see wealth as a tool to build freedom, security, and a life on their own terms. Imagine it like planting a garden. They're not rushing to pick the fruits before they're ripe. They patiently water the seeds, knowing the harvest will come in time. Think about Ronald Read again, the quiet janitor with millions tucked away. He never acted rich or flashy because he didn't see wealth as a status symbol. For him, money was a way to live comfortably and leave a legacy, not something to show off. Or take the story of that old Toyota driving neighbor who quietly amassed a fortune while everyone else was busy keeping up with the Joneses. His mindset? I'd rather be wealthy than look wealthy. That simple belief guides every choice they make, what to buy, how much to save, even how they spend their free time. This mindset makes them patient. They understand that building wealth isn't a sprint, but a marathon. And studies show that mindset actually predicts financial success way more than IQ or income. Practical habits you can start today. So now that we've unpacked the millionaire mindset and traits, let's get real and talk about practical habits you can start right now, like today, that actually move the needle. First up, start tracking your spending. Sounds boring, but think of it like this. If you don't know where your money's sneaking off to every month, how can you stop the leaks? Write down or use an app to see where every dollar goes. You'll be shocked at how much those little daily coffees or impulse buys add up. Next, automate your savings. Set it up so a chunk of your paycheck goes straight into a savings or investment account before you even see it. It's like paying yourself first. That way, saving isn't a painful decision every month. It just happens automatically. Warren Buffett's mentor, Benjamin Graham, actually said, "Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving." Embrace the power of no. Millionaires get that every time they say yes to an expensive dinner, a new gadget, or that flashy car, they're saying no to future freedom. It's like planting seeds. You gotta skip some instant gratification to harvest big later. And finally, get curious about money. Listen to podcasts, watch videos, read blogs about investing, budgeting, and wealth building. Not like a chore, but like a hobby. The more you know, the more confident you'll get. Becoming the millionaire next door isn't about luck, flashy investments, or overnight success. It's about the small, steady choices you make every single day. Think about it like building a brick wall. One brick won't do much, but day after day, brick after brick, you create something strong and lasting. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing videos.